Does Canon have the worst reliability rate? Worse than Sony, Canon, Nikon, Pentax, OM Systems, and, well, everybody else? Did 40% of Canon owners have reliability issues last year? Doesn't paint a very rosy picture for Canon or their customers, does it? But can we trust this data? Details coming up, but first, please do me a favor. Follow me on Twitter, subscribe, share, and choose all notifications. It's greatly appreciated, means a lot, and helps this channel grow. The Australian publication Photo Review published a reader survey. They asked the question, how do you rate your main camera's reliability over the last year? And the results were shocking. They showed that Canon came in last place, at least according to the magazine's readers. So I thought, yeah, there's got to be something wrong with the data here. So I chased down the story. Now, first of all, this is done in Australia by an Australian magazine, Photo Review. So I dug a little deeper, and here's what I found out. 44% of the respondents, well, they're DSLR owners. Now that should tell you right away that that pretty much limits it to, well, Nikon and Canon, and mostly Canon, because up until 2020, well, and even today, you can buy the Canon 5D Mark IV, you can buy the Canon 90D, and many other cameras, but right up until 2020, Canon was releasing, this is true, they were releasing brand new DSLR cameras, so it would make sense that this survey would be more focused on Canon results. And, well, they would also be older results because Sony's been doing mirrorless for a very long time, so has Panasonic. So we wouldn't expect those to show up, and they would show up very high on this list because, well, they're all mirrorless, right? So there's one of the problems. The other problem is about 22%, 22% are compact cameras. This also leads me to believe that these cameras, these DSLRs, these compact cameras, are coming from, well, a lower end. It's not a full representation of the entire product suite across Canon, Sony, Nikon, and others. But again, we don't have that detail, but the data says 44% DSLRs and 22% compact cameras. So with 44% shooting DSLRs and 22% shooting compact cameras, that's probably already told you one thing, that a large majority of the people responding are probably, well, amateur photographers or people at least buying more affordable cameras. And yeah, 66% are amateur photographers, with some 47% only shooting 2,000 pictures in the last year. And what that would probably have you wondering, if they're only shooting about 2,000 photos in the last year, then why on earth are they having so many problems if you're not using your camera that much? I find this part a little bit suspect, but we can see primarily at this point that they're primarily from amateur photographers, and there's nothing wrong with that. These people are using compact cameras and probably low-end DSLRs, and they're not using their cameras very often, so they might also be having problems from lack of usage. But, because again, it doesn't go into details as to what the problems were that were related to reliability. It could also be a problem with a memory card. But this last data point, this pretty well sheds a light on this survey altogether, and a very, very good reason as to why you should completely discount it. The number of respondents, are you ready for this? 271 respondents. Yeah, 271. That's nothing. I quite often put out surveys or polls on this channel and easily get over 1,000 people responding at least within 24 hours. 271. Now, one of the reasons why it's only 271 is I took a look at the survey, and while it's closed now, they said it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to fill out. That should tell you right away why it's down to about 271 respondents. 271 respondents because they're asking for too much time. Who has 12 to 15 minutes to give somebody their opinion without anything back? Sure, they're offering you some sort of $20 gift certificate or something, but that's if you're selected. 12 to 15 minutes of your time? I think we found our problem. I think we've definitely found our problem. And of course, the target audience is rather limited to mostly amateur photographers, to people shooting with DSLRs and compact cameras, much older cameras. And of course, the audience size is limited in scope to limited in region. So many problems with this survey. So I thought, what the heck, let's do my own survey. And I asked a very simple question, just one question. Which cameras have the best reliability? 60% of you said Canon, 5% Nikon, 15% said Sony, and 17% said Panasonic. So there you go, another scientific survey, right? And yes, I know what you're thinking. How many people responded to that survey? And would you believe it? Just 65%. And I know it. I know you're thinking the same thing. Simon, 65 respondents isn't nearly enough. But you see, I only left my survey up for, what, about 30 minutes? And that's the respondents I got. So I thought, well, okay, let's do my own survey. And I asked a very simple question, just one question. Which cameras have the best reliability? 60% of you said Canon, 5% Nikon, 15% said Sony, and 17% said Panasonic. So there you go, another scientific survey, right? And yes, I know what you're thinking. How many people responded to that survey? And would you believe it? Just 65%. And I know it. I know you're thinking the same thing. Simon, 65 respondents isn't nearly enough. But you see, I only left my survey up for, what, about 30 minutes? And that's the response I got. So I thought, well, okay, let's check in at the hour point. And this is what I got after just an hour, and shouldn't be any surprising that the results have shifted. So after an hour, 58% said that Canon has the best reliability, but now Nikon is up to 12%, Sony at 12%, Panasonic at 16%, and other up to 3%. My point is that 271 respondents isn't enough for the Australian audience, let alone a global one. If a piddly channel like mine can get 155 respondents in an hour and 500 respondents in 3 hours, then there's an issue with how Photo Review is conducting their surveys. It's just simply that it has 271 respondents. There's not nearly enough information to be able to make any decision. But the problem I have with a survey, and the reason why I'm putting out this video, is you know that today, tomorrow, a year from now, 10 years from now, even 20 years from now, people are going to be quoting this survey as though it means something, that Canon has the worst reliability of all the camera manufacturers. And I hate that. I hate false data. It's not that it's false data. I'm sorry. It's not false data. It's just the sample size isn't big enough that we can draw proper conclusions from it. And without being able to draw proper conclusions, we're not able to make informed decisions. And that's why I'm having a problem here, is we cannot make informed decisions from this data. I love covering camera news and rumors. I love covering surveys. I love covering all sorts of feedback that we see on digital camera news, whether we see it on camera rumors, whether we see it on DP Review. Stuff like this caught my attention when I first saw it last night, and I thought, you know, I think there's a story in this here. And it wasn't until at lunchtime today that I had a chance to look at the information and to see that the data is completely suspect. But I kind of knew that. When I looked at this data first off, I thought, yeah, 60%, that's a little bit suspect, and 95% for other brands didn't have an issue. But here's what I would like to do. To provide you with more value for sitting in to watch this video for however many minutes long it is, I'd like to get your feedback. I'd like to get real-world experiences from you. Which cameras do you own? Which cameras have you had problems with? Tell me some of your user stories. How long have you gone without having a problem with a camera? Do you own a Canon? Do you own a Sony? Do you own a Pentax? Do you own a DSLR or mirrorless? You see, I've been shooting with, well, many cameras over my lifetime, and the longest camera that I've had in my inventory is the Canon 70D. It's 10 years old, and I still use it to today. In fact, my son uses it for his YouTube channel. He uses it for taking photos. It's given new life in him and using it for video and stills. No issues with that camera at all, none whatsoever. I did have a couple of issues, but they were related to the cards that I was using, and they failed. So you could technically say that over the 10 years I had the 70D, I did have some reliability issues, but they were related to the storage and not the camera. And then there's the 50D, a camera that I had many years ago. I had that for about 4 or 5 years. Didn't have any issues, none with reliability and none with storage. And now the Canon EOS R5, the newest camera in my inventory, but the one I've shot with almost the longest, producing over 900 videos, shooting 4K at the highest bit rate without any issues. And okay, actually, no, that's technically not correct. I did have some memory card issues, and I did have to send the Canon EOS R5 in for repair. It was in the first year, but if I'm honest, I did drop it from about 6 inches twice. So based on the type of problem I had, I believe it's directly correlated. I can't prove it, but I think it's directly correlated to the drop. And since I got it back, almost 2 years of trouble-free shooting, no problems whatsoever. So let me know your user stories in the comments section down below. I'm really curious to hear what you have to say about what kind of issues you've had, how long you've shot, what kind of user issues you had, whether they're like mine, where they were caused because you did something silly. We see this with cameras a lot. A lot of the issues where they go in for repair, if we're doing run and gun stuff, that HDMI cable, sometimes we bash it and that causes a problem. Sometimes we knock the lens into a doorway, a tree, or something else. Or sometimes we have memory card failures. Yeah, all sorts of things like that, or we're just clumsy. But let me know what you think in the comment section down below. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors, then subscribe and choose all notifications. By choosing all notifications, as soon as I publish a new video like this one here, well, you can stay up to date on all the latest camera news and rumors. But please make sure you check your spam folder, or what's the other folder name for spam? Well, I can't remember, but check your spam folder, because sometimes these emails go in there. YouTube's sending out notifications, as many as 3 a day. Sometimes they get trapped as spam, so that way you want to make sure you get your notifications. But thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. Don't forget to subscribe, choose all notifications, and follow me on Twitter. We'll see you again soon.